Hi folks, Chuck McKay here with Karen D'Avino, and we are here on a glorious summer day to talk about all the great things that are happening in Vernon. We're very excited about some of the things that we're going to talk about this morning because we're going to interview some students. We're going to talk about what they're doing, all the great things that happen during a summertime that most people think is slow, but really there's some exciting things going on. So the first thing is...
Absolutely. Highland Stage is doing a wonderful production of All Shook Up. And I highly recommend you getting over to Vernon Township High School, our beautiful high school auditorium. That's tonight, Thursday at 6, Friday at 7, and Saturday at 7. But in just a few moments, we're going to actually talk to some of the students that are performing. So I'm really excited to talk to them.
Outstanding. And that beautiful auditorium is air conditioned.
Yes.
So please come and join us and see a great production. And then I'm going to be talking to our track coach because we have this great program going on, and Mr. Foley has been responsible for it. And the two of them are going to tell me all about the United program that we have for our students with special needs. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because we're very proud of that, and that is building as the year goes on. So we're hoping that that becomes one of our goals for next year, to have that involved in other sports as well. And then I'm actually going to talk to one of our young budding track stars.
Wonderful.
So we'll take a look at what he was doing this summer. But there's great things going on all over. We have robotics camp. We have the kids down at the fair. We have wonderful things going on. So we want you to know that it's been a busy time here in Vernon, and we're very proud of our people.
And not to mention the wonderful things we have when we open our schools. But we'll talk about that in a podcast in the future.
Yeah, we'll see you in a couple weeks with that. Okay.
Greetings everyone at home. As Dr. McKay and I said, we are so excited to be here talking about Highland Stage. I've got some cast members, a pit member, and of course our director with us today. And I want you at home to hear about why you should come see All Shook Up. My first two guests are Mike and Ryan. Mike and Ryan, why don't you talk a little bit about your characters and what's so great about this production?
Well, my character in the show, his name is Dennis. He's this strange little man who is off to dentist school, but is in love with a girl in the town who doesn't love him back. It seems, at least, he's pretty upset and wants her to really like him, but then suddenly some guy shows up with a guitar and she falls in love with him. It's always the guy with the guitar. And then I get the guitar from him at some point, but still doesn't work.
Sounds like a fun character to play, right?
But it's great.
Good for you. Good for you. And what about you, Ryan? Tell me about your character.
My character's name is Dean, and he's off to military school. But the fun thing about him is he falls in love with a girl in a honky-tonk, and he's kind of caught between two worlds, in love with her, but he has to go off to military school, and it's just really fun to play a character like that. It's been really a blast.
Yeah, and for the folks at home, if you haven't seen the show or you're not familiar with it, you don't have to know anything about it because as you hear from our guest today, all of these wonderful things that happen on stage and the comedic timing and the rehearsing and the music are all going together for a really wonderful production. And speaking of a wonderful production, we can never forget about our pit. So I have Wesley with me today. Wesley, tell the folks at home what instrument you play.
I play trombone in the pit.
And why is being in pit so much fun and so important?
Well, it's really fun because there's a lot of songs in the play, and it's really fun getting to play all those. Like, it's a good challenge over the summer where there's usually like not much to do. And also we get to watch all the good actors on stage up front. Oh,
Right.
it's good.
It's like having the first row, right?
Yeah,
Front row
best seats in the house.
Yep, front row seats and keeping your chops fresh over the summer, which is great. And then, of course, we have on the end Heather Burns, who's our director, and her children who are also in the show. So why don't you tell us a little bit about why we should come see All Shook Up?
It's super fun. It is all Elvis songs. So the exciting thing is, even for people who aren't musical people, you recognize all the songs, so you can basically sing along. And the kids have been working really hard. It's a crazy schedule because we do the whole thing in like 5 weeks, where normally if it's a school show, it's like 2 to 3 months that we're working on it. But this is like, everybody just devotes all their time and energy for the last pretty much month, and they've been working really hard, and they deserve a really great audience.
And you know what, I'm sure they will get it. I know it's kind of been the buzz about town. A lot of people are talking about it. We've been sending out emails to our staff to remind them to come. So hopefully tonight and Friday and Saturday you have a wonderful turnout, break a leg, have a wonderful show. It's going to be tremendous. Come out and see it.
Okay, one of the things that we've noticed in our society, and certainly sometimes it happens in Vernon too, is a lot of people are saying that they don't see children outside or they don't see them playing, and they're all worried that they're down in the basement playing Fortnite. But I'm here to tell you, Vernon, that we have this wonderful opportunity to talk to some of our students who are not doing that, but instead very active in the summertime. And there's a lot of our students who are very active in the summertime, and one of them is Zack Mountain. Welcome, Zack.
Thank you.
And Zack's going to talk about an AAU competition that he was involved with and all the things that went into preparation for that, but also the results of that. So as a fellow old runner, an old man runner who used to run competitively, tell me a little bit about AAU.
So AAU is, it's a youth organization that runs all these, it's not just track, they run this Junior Olympics, which contains of all different events. They include wrestling, swimming, diving, and I think they even have jump roping, like, as a sport. I don't know why, but they,
Yes, neither do I.
but they run all these cool events
Sure.
for kids so that they can have different opportunities, because like some towns aren't as lucky as Vernon, because Vernon has this awesome middle school program where we do a lot of running, a lot of training, and we go to all these awesome meets, but some schools don't have that.
Right.
So what kids end up doing is they go out to all these clubs, and then they end up running in all these special meets. And to get to the Junior Olympics, you had to qualify in both districts and regionals, so there's
Right.
all these kids. And I believe in the end there was like 15,000 track athletes that were in this one meet.
Terrific.
So it's really awesome organization that runs everything really well.
Right, and then in the region and in the district, you get to know the local runners, right?
Yes.
So all the kids that are your age that are running. So that
Yeah.
can be sort of off-putting, right? When you're with all of these nervous Nellies who are getting ready on
Yeah.
the starting line, right?
Well, it's kind of the whole thing. Like you're all focusing on being calm and ready when you're all in
Yes.
the tents and queuing up. But then once you got on the starting line, you're like, I'm here. And I'm not ready for this.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
it feels like, right? And,
Yeah.
And the starter starts the starting pistol, and you're like,
And
oh,
then and then once you get running, and then you're like, oh yeah, I remember
I
what
got
I have to
this.
do.
Yeah,
I got
that's it.
this. Let's just finish this race.
That's exactly right.
So, and it's really exciting, and all the kids in my area, like we all know each other now,
Yeah,
and we were
that's
all
it.
talking to each other at nationals, like what heat are you in, blah blah blah.
Sure. And you're going to, I know that you can envision this, but you're going to continue to run into them, no pun intended. You're going to be in high school and they'll be in another high school and you go, oh yeah,
Yes.
remember when we used to do that?
Yeah.
So tell me about the AAU meet and what happened at Nationals.
So at nationals, I ran in 3 events. I ran in the 1500, which is pretty much the mile, and the 800, which is pretty much the half mile, and high jump. In the 800, I personal bested, and in the 1500, I ran a pretty well time. But it's a really eye-opening experience because I run against all these kids that are like running times that are better than most high school kids, and
Yes.
it's very eye-opening and an
Yeah.
awesome experience.
Yeah, good. Now, so for some people, student athletes, when they would get there, they would sort of be intimidated and that would be it and they would never run again. What is it about someone like yourself who's able to be inspired by that and go, all right, this is the competition.
Yeah,
let's do
well, I
this."
think is like, I did pretty well in high jump this year, but I didn't do as good. I got 9th, so almost All-American, but not quite. So I feel like next year I'm going to push myself even harder to go and try and get it.
Good. Good for you. All right, now, in the future, what do you plan to do with your running? Do you plan to do cross country? Do you plan to run track?
Well, I want to run track in the spring, definitely, because I want to keep doing it. But I think in the fall, I'm not going to run cross country. I'm going to do soccer instead, because I still like to play soccer. And then in the winter, I still haven't decided if I'm going to play basketball or indoor track.
Yeah, and of course, all of those are good aerobic sports anyway, so it's good
Yeah.
training. And you know, one of the pushes that's going on in district and also in New Jersey is the fact that we want our students to be rounded athletes, so they're
Yes.
playing a couple of sports, so that's good. And one last question. How's your experience been in Vernon with track?
Vernon's been awesome. Actually, over the summer, my coaches, Coach Julio and Coach Davenport, came to Glen Meadow and actually helped me high jump for 2 days. And it was very helpful because I don't think I high jumped in like a month after regionals. So it was very
Fabulous.
helpful to get that practice in. And also, I just want to thank Mrs. Gephardt for letting us use the gym, of course, for the facilities. And
All right, did Mrs. Gebhardt high jump with you?
no, she didn't. But
Maybe next time. That would be a great video. All right, Zach, well, congratulations on
you.
all of your accomplishments. We're very proud of you. And continue to run. All right, so Zack Mountain, our new running star.
I have the privilege and honor and the opportunity to talk today with Coach Saganiec, Dr. McKay, Bill Foley, our athletic director, to talk about unified sports. One of the most important things for me as the superintendent of schools is that it really speaks to inclusivity in schools. And although I believe in inclusive education in many of our classes, this is where we really talk about inclusivity in sports. And when I say inclusive, we're really talking about making sure that every child has the opportunity to participate, particularly our special needs students. I think Mr. Foley wants to talk a little bit about that. Bill?
Sure. Unified sports, touches my heartstrings quite a bit. I used to teach adaptive PE at the high school for many years.
That's great.
And then becoming the athletic director, knowing that Special Olympics in conjunction with the NJSIAA in 2017 partnered and created this unified sports program, which is an inclusive social and sports activity program, which is just tremendous.
And in
great.
your experience, you've probably seen both children excel, right? I mean, what's your experience with your regular ed and your classified students when they're collaborating?
It's tremendous. Like, the smiles on their faces, the other athletes' faces. It's just such a rewarding experience for everybody that's involved.
And how many sports do we have right now participating in unified?
Currently just unified track.
Okay.
We're going into our third year, and again, it's the NJSIAA's third year in partnership with Special Olympics.
Great.
So we're kind of on track, and we're ahead of most schools in the county. High Point High School actually just called us over the summer just to ask about what we're doing with the program, which is very exciting. Jefferson has a program, Sparta has a program, Newton has a program. Jefferson has hosted track events the past 3 years that we've attended. And it's just, again, a great, rewarding experience for everyone involved.
And another opportunity to put Vernon on the map, right? For me, when we expand programs like this, it really sets us apart from other communities and makes Vernon even more attractive. So, Coach Saganiec, why don't we talk to you a little bit about your program?
the program.
Like Mr. Foley said, the program started 2 years ago where we had three athletes, and they would come to practice once a week. They would compete in our home, they competed in our home meets with us. They also competed at the meet in Jefferson where they did very well, and I think they took home 2 first places that first year. But more than competing in the success is to see the interactions with the other kids on our team, and our team has been so great accepting this program, and the smiles. And I think of this year we are in one of our novice meets where our unified students ran, and one young lady who ran the 100-meter and the smiles on her face as she didn't want to finish the race because the entire stadium was cheering for her to finish. And it goes over into the hallways. I see our athletes that work and compete with our unified athletes. They'll walk down the hallway, and our kids on the track team and the kids that are part of our unified part of our track team, it's, hey, how you doing today? You coming to practice today? Are we going to see you? And just the social interaction between them has been great.
Here's a question for you. We're playing on that word unified. Do you feel that the track team is more unified because they've had this experience of helping other students, them as an entire group?
I'd say yes, because I've seen some individuals that just thrive that we would never have expected to see the things we get out of them.
While they were helping.
Perfect example, last year I had an athlete that was borderline varsity. He was 3rd, 4th on the team, but chose to run later heats to make sure that those 2 boys that were unified athletes got to their event and were successful in their events. So yes, the team is closer together and they all look after each other. But also, I've seen people that bring out the best in some kids that you'd be surprised with.
Well, that's fantastic. Now, what's our goal for this year about unified sports? We're adding?
We're looking to add an in-house soccer intramural possibly. We have to see how many of our unified athletes are interested, and hopefully it's even more, because we went from 3 the first year. We had 5 or 6 athletes this year. So we doubled in the year. We're hoping to get even more, and we think if we introduce them something where it's just and they're playing soccer and it's an extension of their phys ed class, that it might get them more interested in doing more things.
Great.
Yeah. And the program involves the regular ed students and the unified kids, and that's what we're trying to reach. With track, for instance, they pretty much pair the groups in pairs with other athletes, but non-varsity track athletes. But we, for instance, can take the varsity softball player, a varsity boys lacrosse player, and match them up with a a unified track person to form a relay.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be just
great.
those unified track teams. Participants, it could be from other sports, and that's what we're still trying to tie those kids in. Plenty of kids are interested. You know, we have to get the coaches on board where maybe if they just have some downtime and it's a track meet, you know, Coach Ludeking could send her starting third baseman over to run a relay with one of our kids or perform a discus relay. And that's the neat part, just involving the whole school community.
And can we extend this to the PE classes to make it a unified PE?
Yeah, there is actually a unified PE program that, you know, we already have adaptive PE in place, and we would just really be changing the name of it and a couple of other things, and we would garner those kids right away from freshman year if they were interested, and build through their senior year working with those kids, and then extend it after school into those interscholastic activities.
That's so important too, because you think about the transition from middle school to high school, and it's such a challenge for every child, right? So when you have an inclusive model where you have the balance between your regular ed athletes and your unified athletes, that's even more of that transition opportunity, right? For students to feel comfortable, have that social connection that you talked about. It's really tremendous. So
Right.
I commend all of you for the efforts. I think it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think the experience also makes our students more compassionate than they
Absolutely.
already are. So I think,
Yeah.
once again, it's a feather in our cap. Thank you, gentlemen, for all your great work on this program.
job.
This is really terrific.
So as you can see here in Vernon, it is a busy, busy summer. We had a wonderful opportunity to talk to Zack Mountain. What a fine gentleman.
Yes,
I'm just so in
absolutely.
awe of his accomplishments.
And the great Highland stage kids.
Oh my gosh,
all
they're
the great
amazing.
things that they're
I
doing.
know. And of course, our unified track program, which is just tremendous. So we're so excited and proud of all of the wonderful things happening over the summer. And
We got a lot coming up. I mean, obviously, the school year is right around the corner, but you've got plenty of summer left, so enjoy it.
Yes.
But we'll be coming back to you in the next 10 days or so to let you know all that's happening with schedules and everything that's going on with buses, etc. But we want you to enjoy your summertime. Get out there and enjoy the beautiful weather, and think about all the great things that Vernon has to offer.